Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, salutations. Much love and respect to you, Akim, out there pushing this word out in truth and sincerity. This is your brother Hayan Apash coming at you with another lesson. And this lesson is going to be entitled, Israelites Will Come Looking Like Every Nation Under the Sun.
Walked in this party, skinny jeans on, and I'm like, hey, okay. I want y'all to do this dance now. Juju on that beat, juju on that beat. Now slide, chop, hit the phone, don't stop, hey, don't stop, hey, don't stop, hey. Run a man on that beat, run a man on that beat, hey, run a man on that beat, hey, run a man on that beat. Do your dance, hey. You ugly, you your daddy's son.
I just passed this video. I was scrolling through trying to find something to get some inspiration to do a lesson, and I came up with the lesson that Israelites will look like everything under the sun, and there will be a big influx of Israelites that do not look like your typical Negro, Latino, and Native American coming into this truth. Okay, and that's all through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, right? Using the unicorn, right, which is the satellite system to spread this word throughout the four corners of the earth. And looking at this young so-called white girl, she seems like she has some flavor to her. She was doing that dance and whatnot. So she could be an Israelite. She could be an Israelite. And I'm gonna read this. This is Isaiah 11 in verse 11. It says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea." Okay, so the Israelites are going to be left from all these different places where these heathen dwell, and they're going to look like these heathen. Okay, they're going to look like these heathen. They're going to speak like these heathen. In many instances, they're going to even act like these heathen. It says, "And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The envy of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim." So, Judah is going to be gathered from the four corners of the earth, as well as the rest of the tribes. Because remember, the first slave trade happened with the so-called Native Americans, okay? And the indigenous people, they were brought to Europe, okay? So you got a lot of these people that are in Europe and in the East that are Ephraimites, that are Gadites, that are Judites, that are Benjaminites, so on and so forth. All right. So we do things through the spirit. We look at the spirit, because the Lord doesn't see how man sees. Okay, he doesn't look at that. He looks at the heart. Okay. Let's get Romans 8. This is Romans 8. And matter of fact, I could even start at verse 6, to be honest with you. It says, "For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace." So we're supposed to be spiritually minded. A lot of these different camps are very carnally minded. They can only see as far as the outward appearance. Okay. But yet they'll say that a person is an Israelite based upon the seed. It doesn't matter how they look. But any time a so-called white person comes up, or someone that looks like a so-called Asian person, they'll say you're a heathen emphatically, and won't even try the spirit. Why? Because they're carnally minded. Okay, it says, "Because the carnal mind is enmity against the Most High, for it is not subject to the law of the Most High, neither indeed can be. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please the Most High." And they can't please the Most High because they have a carnal mind. Okay, this is verse 16. It says, "The Spirit itself, and the thing is with the spirit, it goes directly against your flesh. You see, when I first came into this truth, I was a bit offended at, everybody, apostles say everybody's a Jake, this person a Jake. I was like, shit. So where's the Edomites at? You know, but as I've grown in this truth, I'm like, I understand why the Heavenly Father put that spirit on them, you know, and and at the end of the day, you never really do know. You never really fully know. Okay, this is Romans 8:16. It says the spirit itself, but that's the flesh. That's the flesh. Okay, because you're like, I've been being oppressed because of my skin color. It's like, oh, so he gets to come up in here, but he's had so-called white privilege. This is not our program, and you don't know what that individual has been through, because that in itself, guess what? Jake, that looks like an Edomite. They don't. You think they're comfortable in their skin? No, they're not. Edomites are not comfortable in their skin. That's a That's a heavy curse, man. That's a heavy curse to look like an Edomite. Okay, especially if you're an Israelite, you can't connect with your people that you feel is your people. I always go into that story about that guy I grew up with named Jason. And he even told me one time randomly, man. He told me that when I was growing up, because I went to like a black elementary school, and he was like one of the few so-called white kids that were there, and he told me, yeah, when I was younger, I used to paint myself as a black kid, with an afro and all that. And his parents would always ask him, why is he doing that? And now that I'm in the truth, I understand why he was doing that. And the reason he was doing that, because he is a so-called black person that looks like a so-called white person. He's an Israelite, and he's definitely an Israelite. No questions asked. He's definitely an Israelite. Okay, and I'll tell him that if I see him, and today I'll tell him that. Guess what, bro? You're an Israelite. Okay, that's why you were drawing yourself as a so-called black person. Okay, and he only dates the end of, May the force be with him, you know. He only dates the end of, man, and that's one of the traits of a Jake that looks like a Edomite. He goes straight for the end up. He goes straight for the end up, man. They just love the end up, boy. But it is what it is, That's just how the spirit has it. But good luck to you. It says the spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. Okay, that's it. And if children, then heirs, heirs of the Most High, and joint heirs with Hamashiach, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. Okay, and we're suffering in this flesh. Okay, the elect is suffering so that we can receive that glory with Yahweh Shai. Okay, but anyways, back to the topic. Let's go to Revelation 7 and 9, because after you read about the 144,000, which is the government body of the nation of Israel, which is going to rule under Yahweh Shai, you have the great multitude that's spoken about. It says, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude. This is Revelation 7 and 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with robes and palms in their hands. Okay, it's from every kindred, nation, and tongues. Does that mean that those were heathen? No, those were Israelites that were coming from amongst the heathen. Okay, he said that he would set his hand a second time to recover his people. This is that recovering. Okay, this is part of the recovering. And cried with a loud voice, saying, salvation to our power. That, who is he the God of? He's the God of the Israelites. Okay, that proves that that these are Israelites. Okay, which sitteth upon the throne and unto the Lamb. Okay, so these are Israelites that are coming out of every nation, every tongue. Okay, I know Israelites from all different types of nations. I know Israelites Sri Lankans. I know Israelite Indians. I know Israelite so-called Filipino. But damn, most of the Filipinos are Israelites. Okay, from my observations. Okay, they got that spirit of Jake. They don't move like a regular Chinese person or Japanese person. Okay, they interact with Jake. When you have them actual Moabites, they don't interact with Jake. They avoid Jake. They don't interact. The only time they interact with Jake is when the 175 when they give you the price for what you got to buy. But they interact with Jake, man. They'll talk to you in the elevator and so on and so forth. So they got a different spirit to them. Okay, and yeah. So you Filipinos out there, you so-called Filipinos, a lot of you are Israelites. All right. This is Jeremiah 12 and verse 9. It says, "Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird." What's a speckled bird? A bird with diverse colors and designs. Okay, so Israelites don't all look the same. Okay, it says, "The birds round about are against her. Come ye, assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour." Okay, all the other nations are against us. Okay, we don't mesh with these heathen, man. We don't mesh with Edomites. We don't mesh with Elamites. Okay, we don't mesh with these other nations, man. Especially not the Edomites, man. Okay, there's an off spirit, like that guy, the what they call him, Unk from the Destination Smokehouse, who came up with the tenderism quote. You can see him when he's with the boss, that Edomite. Like he just feels uncomfortable because it's uncomfortable being around these Edomites. So the bottom line is there's going to be Israelites that look like all different nations. They're going to have that flavor of an Israelite, but they're going to look like a heathen. They're going to grow up as a heathen. Okay? So anyways, Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. I want to give all the praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations, much love and respect to you, Akim, out there pushing this word out in truth and sincerity. Shalom.